Surprise comics.
How would you like to make some extra money working with me in comics? Essentially what I'm talking about here and what this video is all about is me offering you a referral fee for helping find me collections that I can purchase. That's it in a nutshell. And in this video, I want to break it all down and discuss all the details of that because it's definitely not going to apply to everyone. But stick around and see if this is something that interests you. This all started the other day when a friend of mine came to the shop and bought a really big book for me, and he was showing me this collection that some friends of his recently purchased, and we're talking about mega grails. I mean, mega grails, just mega grail after mega grail, and I'm just going, how much did they pay for this? And he told me how much, and it was pennies on the dollar. And I said, you know, where did they find this collection? And he said they found it on OfferUp. Now, a couple things about that. First of all, if you and I are working together, we're going to do it ethically, and that's kind of a completely different conversation, right? But I'm not looking for collections for pennies on the dollars. I'm looking for collections to pay a fair price for, but you know, they are out there, and I'm just going to leave it at that. We don't need to dive too much deeper into that, but it got me thinking, and I thought, you know, should I be scouring OfferUp and Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for these collections? And I've done it in the past, and what it comes down to is I just don't have time to do it. It can be a big time suck. You can spend a lot of time on the phone. There's a ton of scams out there. You absolutely have to be wary of scams. Sometimes you'll drive a few hours for it just to be a complete bust. And I've come to the conclusion from a business standpoint that I just don't have time to do it. But this is where you could potentially come in. Maybe you do have the time to do it. Maybe you do have a few hours here and there that you can sink into looking at these different sites and trying to find collections. And maybe it would be worth it to you for the money that is potentially involved in it. So I want to start by saying what I am not looking for, okay? I'm not looking for you to find a collection on Craigslist and send me a link and say, hey, what do you think of this one? That is not what I'm looking for. I don't have time to vet these collections. I'm looking for somebody who themselves is going to vet the collection, talk to the collector, see if they're willing to, you know, accept the terms that we're going to talk about later in this video. So don't expect to just send me a link to a collection and get some kind of referral fee for that. I need you to actually, you know, put in the work and vet the collection, and we'll get into that here more in just a second. So let's just talk about who this potentially could be for. It's definitely for somebody who has the time to invest in doing it. Maybe you're home on medical leave from work and you do have a ton of time and you enjoy the hunt of comics. I think that's another big requisite is you have to enjoy the hunt of comics in order to do this. Otherwise, it can be incredibly frustrating. And lastly, you need to know a thing or two about the prices of comics, at least be able to spot a good deal when you see one. And then of course, negotiation skills or just communication skills and being able to talk to people. And now I want to talk about my terms because that is one of the most important things. Something you should talk about first if you're going to reach out to somebody is what we are willing to pay, right? So my current terms is 60% of recent sales, and I can cover the cost of shipping. So for slabs, it works out really easily. You send me a list of the slabs, I look up the recent values, we come up with a number, do 60% of that, that's the offer, and then I cover the cost of shipping. So when it comes time, they package and ship the books safely, and then I send them the labels, they put the labels on them. The same day I receive the books, I send payment. All right, so that's the terms. No money goes out before I have the books in hand. That's just like a firm policy. Okay, so if you reach out to somebody and they say, okay, well, how about he sends me half the money and then I ship the books? Absolutely not. The only way that this works is if you send the books to me first, I receive them, I verify them, and then I send the payment. There's too many scams out there, and you shouldn't put any money up either. That's just the way that it's going to work. So if those two things are deal breakers, you walk away. So talk about those two things first. The 60% of recent sales and the fact that they're not going to get any money until I actually get them in hand. You know, I'm a trusted shop. I have a brick and mortar. I have a YouTube channel. You know, I'm a big member of the community. So most people should be okay with that. But if you're cold calling calling them, or there's like an older gentleman who knows nothing about YouTube or something like that, it may be a deal breaker, but there's no way around it. All right. We're not going to get scammed in any way, shape, or form. Now, if it's a huge collection and it warrants me actually like flying out to a different, that's absolutely in the realm of possibilities. If it's big enough, if it's a big enough dollar amount, I absolutely will travel and we can erase that deal breaker right there. So, but you know, for most collections, it's not going to make sense to travel. It would have to be done through shipping. So what's in it for you? So I wish I could just say like a flat term, like this is what's in it for you, but it really does depend on the books. It really does depend on the collection, and it really does depend on how much time and effort you put into the whole process. If it's something like a small collection of slabs, maybe it's like $3,000 to $5,000 worth of books, and you literally just, you know, sent a few text messages on OfferUp and said, hey, I know this guy, he's a friend of mine, you know, he's a comic book shop, he'll do 60%. Is that something that interests you? And then you connect the two of us. If it's just a couple messages for something like that, you know, maybe you get a copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 second print 9.8, you know, a $300 book for you know, a $5,000 collection that you helped connect the dots. Maybe that's absolutely worth it for you. I mean, if it's just a small amount of time and now you get this awesome book that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get, that could make a lot of sense. Other people would be like, there's no way I'm doing that. It's not. And so it really depends on the person, and it depends on your current situation. Now, let's say it was a $30,000 collection. Let's say I paid $30,000 for the collection. See, I'd like to be able to say that I can offer 10%, and that would be $3,000. But again, if it's just, you know, a couple messages that you sent, it really comes down to like, can I comfortably offer 10% of $3,000 off the top? My margins are already pretty slim. So for 10%, you know, it might not make it worth the deal. And again, it depends on the books. So if it's $30,000 worth of books, but you know, a lot of them are going to sit around, some of them are tough sells, I'm going to have to discount a lot of them, then maybe 10% doesn't work. But if it's a $30,000 collection and it's just 10 books that are super easy sells, then yes, maybe 10%, $3,000 check or a $3,000 book to you makes perfect sense. I definitely will make it worth your time. Okay, I can say that much. And, you know, we can talk about it before you put a whole bunch of work into it. So the sky is the limit about this. I mean, I want to say that there's no collection too big, but there may be some collections that are a little bit too big. But, you know, if you find a $100,000 collection, $200,000 collection, we're good to go. We're ready to go right now. If you find $1 million collection, I have two buddies with incredibly deep pockets that are also ready to go right now. So if it's the right collection, $1 million collection, it's absolutely within the realm of possibilities. We can hop on a plane, we can get this thing done, and you can get a fat check or a really awesome, you know, grail out of the whole deal. Okay, so I think we'll cut it off at $1 million. I think anything over $1 million is probably too much. When I started this business, I remember watching YouTube channels, and I would watch these guys pick up collections for like 20% of fair market value. And I used to think like, why can't that be me? Why can't I find collections like that? Or, you know, I wish I had X amount of dollars to lay down to buy collections like this. So this, I think, could be a good opportunity for you. If you've ever watched any of my videos where you're like, man, I wish I could have $30,000 to drop on a collection. Well, maybe you can help find me that $30,000 collection, take your referral fee, and now you do have some working capital to start buying your own collections. I think this really could be a good opportunity, a fun opportunity for a lot of people. A couple caveats, things I just want to mention. One, beware of scams. They are so prevalent. They are everywhere. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Two, you know, this could be a frustrating process for you. Like, just be prepared to put a lot of time into this and then to have things not come to fruition. You know, for a lot of collections like this, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you're cold calling, you know, trying to find collections on places where they're already listed. I wouldn't be surprised if it only works out about 10 to 20% of the time, right? Because so you could potentially put a lot of time into this and have nothing come of it. I just want to be upfront about that. It's just the nature of finding comic book collections. Also, if somebody is selling their collection on OfferUp, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, they likely know a thing or two about comics and are selling them themselves because they want to get as close to full market value as they can. So they may not be interested at all in selling to a dealer. And that's really important to just come out the gate with the most important questions. Are you willing to take 60% of fair market value? And are you willing to ship them, before you get any kind of payment? So one of the most important things, if this is going to work, if you and I are going to work together, is we need to absolutely 100% trust each other. That means you're 100% honest with me and I'm 100% honest with you. That's all there is to it. Don't try to, get some books out of it for yourself or anything like that. Like everything's on the table. We're both 100% honest, and we can absolutely make some magic happen. So once again, you guys, remember, I'm not looking for links. I'm not looking for you to send me a link and say, hey, what do you think of this? I'm really looking for someone who knows a thing or two about comics, knows about the values, who's able to look at those collections that are for sale, see if it would be a good opportunity, actually contact that person, talk to them about the 60% and all of that. So please don't send me any links and say, what do you think of this? Or is this a good one? I need you to do a little bit of legwork beforehand. But feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions before you get started, any other tips or advice or anything. I'm absolutely ready and willing to talk. The best way to get in touch with me is either by email, brycecomics@gmail.com, or on Instagram. Instagram's a really easy way to go back and forth over text. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Don't forget, we always have that monthly giveaway here on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, comment, and like this video, you're entered to win. And if you head over to brycecomics.com and sign up for the newsletter, you're also entered to win a free slab each and every month. Thank you as always for sticking with me to the end of the video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bryce Comics.